the first few psukim on this week's parsha.
In the library, we don't have the book. No?
So the last parshas Tazria finishes those Toras Neged Tzaraz Beged Atzemer Apishtim Shesiyah Erev Kol Kli Or L'Tar L'Tamei. V'daber Hashem al Moshe Leimer. Zois Tia Toras Metzora B'Yom Tarosov. This should be the Torah of a Metzora in the day of this Tahora. Number one, V'huv Alakoyim, you bring him to the Kohen. Number two, V'yotza Kohen Amachutz Lamachan, and the Kohen goes out. V'ro HaKohen V'ninerpa Neged Tzaras Metzora, he sees that it was healed. Previous parsha tells you all about the story of Metzora, now about the healing of Metzora. V'tziva HaKohen V'lochen L'metal Shnei Tziporim Chayis, the Hoides, they would take two birds, V'eitz Eretz, V'shnei Soiloaz, V'ezoiv. V'tziva HaKohen V'shochet as HaTzipor Echad Al Kol Cheres Al Mayim Chaim. Es HaTzipor HaChaya, Yikach Oisev, Es Eitz Eretz, V'shnei Soiloaz, V'ezoiv, V'tov Oisev, V'tzipor HaChaya, V'dam HaTzipor HaShchuta Al Mayim Chaim. These are all these things that Rashi explains that to teach a person got the tzaras because of speech, lashon hara, so they teach him to be humble, like a shnei telas, and birds that pitputei dvorim because they make a lot of noise, so that's teach him how to stay out of trouble in the future. This posuk,
I didn't understand. I learned it in Mechitas. You take a live bird and table the of the other one.
Yeah. And
live bird.
You take two birds, right? One is shechted
and you put
the live bird.
You put the shechted bird. You put the blood on the mayim,
right?
And then you take the live bird and the eitzeres and the shnitalas all together. You dip it into the blood that's floating in the mayim chaim, and you spritz it on the mitzora.
Or you make a korach.
Yeah, it's a koirich, one big koirich. Okay. One big koirich. Then the live bird gets sent away. He goes to mikvah v'tor v'achiyov alamachem v'yoshem u'chutzol l'shivas yomim v'hoya b'mashvi galech kol tzores reishav v'zikonim v'zgabes eina v'skol tzores galech v'chibes b'godav v'rochet b'sor b'mayim v'tor b'yomashmini yikach shnei chvosim tmim v'chav sachas b'shos tmim shlosh esrem solos minchvul v'asham v'logech chaman. These are all the carbonis it brings by Mashmini, Veham that kind of Mataris, Isha Matar, Voisim with Nasham Pesach, Moid, Volokakain, Sakeva Sacha, Vehikri, Voisim, Osham, Vasluga, Hashama, Vehine, Voisim, Nufa, Lif Nasham. Okay. Just reading it quickly, but just want to focus on the first Rashi.
What's your question, Rabbi? Why is Hashem always, when it comes to, like say, Lashon Hara, like you take the birds that talk and the Ezor that's low, he knows why it came upon him. Why does the Torah have to use these dugmaot, these examples? Why do they have to use the examples for? We know...
We live in a very tangible...
Katuv, maybe it's Gizat Katuv, I don't know.
Right.
But why have to bring always... It's always examples to bring, to remind him. He knows. Why do you have to bring the actual items? Right. I mean, in other cases, there's always a lot of...
Can ask everything in Torah. Why do we have to rest Shabbos in such a way? Once a week we would sit and reflect on the recreation of the world. But the person, on a simple level, a person is very concrete. If once a week there's nothing in the world he could do, and all lamatas malacha stop, and everything comes to a screeching halt, he'll remember that Sheish Yom Asas Hashem Shemaim Asoretz. Same thing here. Give him a whole Musa drasha about the Eitz Erez and a Ezov, about talking too much and making too much noise, and about being humble like a Shnei Teilos and being haughty like a Eitz Erez. It's all talk. When you physically bring an Eitz Erez and a Shnei Teilos and a bird, and it's all done physically in a very tangible way, and then the person says, what's all this? What's the bird? What's the stick? What's the Eitz Erez? What's the Ezem? And we explain it to him. Everything is more alive. Come to Seder. We have to eat the matzah, we have to eat the maror. Let's talk about what happened. It was very bitter. Going out was very sweet. No, we have to eat a bitter herb, and it's to be really a physical bitter herb. And you have to crush it up, and you eat a kazayis, and the matzah, and the korban pesach. That's all the mitzvahs are that way. You can ask in every single mitzvah.
Maybe in those days, when they were so spiritually sensitive, maybe when they actually did it, maybe there was a reaction.
Right. There's incredible words from the Alshich. The Alshich says, "How come we wrote the Siddur?"
You
That we don't
internalize?
we don't have today the laws of Metzora. So the Alshich says because the Metzora is that the speech is sour, but so their skin, which is the external part of the person, turns sour. In those days, the Jews were so pure on the inside. So if there was a thing that broke out on the skin on the outside, the inside was healthy, but it's a thing on the outside. So then you can deal with it. But today that the people are not so pure in the inside already, so it's not going to help to break out with it saras on the outside. It's motza minas mina. It's going to be even worse. It's not going to elevate the person. It'll drag him down. So this miracle that the Eibishter made, that there was tzaras, only exists in those times. It doesn't exist today. Yeah.
Doesn't it have to do with internalizing what's going on with the individual?
Right. The individual has to internalize it, and it's in a very concrete way. We bring him a bird, and we bring him an eitz. So you see you think very haughty, as you think like you're one of the big trees. You end up lashon hara. So you speak about other people. Your tongue is loose. You should be a shniter las. You should be like a little worm. You should be humble. Then you'll keep your mouth shut about others, and you won't get yourself and others in trouble.
I think the Torah is saying so many korbanot he has to bring.
Mm-hmm.
After 7 days, after it is like about 10-15 korbanot.
Yeah.
Why the Torah has to give us so many?
Well, it's expensive to talk
think
lashon hara.
That's it. You have to know if you speak lashon hara, you have to bring all this, so people will try to avoid talking lashon hara.
Too expensive. Yeah, too expensive.
There was a chassid from the Alter Rebbe that when he put the Tanya, it says over there, if you do this, you have to fast this amount. If you do this, you have to fast this amount. They bring for the Gemara. So he said, this is very too expensive, I can't do it.
Let's look at the first Rashi in the Parsha. This Rashi is from, I take it down from the Oitza Chochma. It's from a very scholarly edition called the Berliner. The thing in the Chumashim that we have, the Rashi quotes the first Rashi. It's as if he quotes it from the Gemara. Megillah Daf Chaf Aleph Amud Beis. As the Rebbe points out, Rashi lived several hundred years before the printing shop was invented. So in the days of Rashi, there didn't exist the Gemara Megillah Daf Chaf Aleph Amud Beis. So obviously, if you look at the original manuscripts of Rashi, Rashi doesn't quote from a Gemara. He just writes like this: Zois tia toiras, v'goimer. V'goimer means you look at the end of the pasuk yourself. Melamed, this teaches us that you can purify the mitzora by night. So all the Meforshim say, what's bothering Rashi? The Torah says, it'll be in the day of his purification. Why the day? Why does the Torah have to emphasize the day? Who cares, day or night? So Rashi answers, Melamed, this teaches us you can't purify him by night. A simple chayda, a very simple Rashi, a simple question, simple answer. Problem is,
the word bayom. So why would I be thinking balayla?
Problem is, Rashi doesn't quote the word. Rashi always quotes the word that bothers him. Here, the words that are non-problematic, zois, tia, toiras. No problem with the word zois, no problem with the word tia, no problem with the word toiras. This Rashi quotes. The problematic word Rashi doesn't quote. Rashi doesn't quote. Why? If you have a problem with the word, quote the problematic word. It's not like if is it that Rashi wants to tell us that the name of the parsha is parshos Metzora. So first of all, then he should say the word Metzora. Secondly, Rashi didn't have necessarily the same names of parshas like we had. In the previous Seder, he says to look at the next parsha. The next parsha is Zois Tia. He calls this parsha Zois Tia. And Rashi doesn't, in general, give you the names of the parshas. So, why is Rashi saying these three words? These are not the problematic words.
Some of them are sakis and that's
Right, right. So, let's look at the Gemara. As I said, in some of the Rashis we have in our thing, Rashi, it's as if Rashi wrote that his pshat comes from the Gemara Megillah Daf Chaf Aleph Amud Beis. As I said, it's not possible Rashi wrote such a thing because Rashi preceded the printing press by a few hundred years. But it's true, it is a Gemara. So let's look at the Gemara.
Maybe a Ruach HaKodesh. He knew what's going to be another.
That there's going to be a printing shop.
Yeah.
Okay. But he wouldn't reveal such a thing. If he had the Ruach HaKodesh, he wouldn't tell you about it. Like the story I said Shabbos with this Chaim Yoina. These things you're not supposed to go around telling.
So how did he? What did he have to know?
They had booklets. They had the Gemara that they wrote down. Everyone had their own booklets. If you had a fat booklet, the Mesachas Megillah had 8 pages. If you had a very thin booklet, maybe your Mesachas Megillah had 50
We have
pages.
now a stand. It's the same
They came
page.
down through Torah Al Peh, and then
They wrote it. Everyone had their own notebooks. Everyone had their own
They put it
notebooks.
together.
But there was no daf, an omid that came with the printing press. So Rashi says, the Gemara. So first, let's talk about what the Gemara over there at the end of the first Perek in Megillah says that Eila Dvarim Sheksherim Kol Hayom. Kol Hadav Shekosher Kol Hayom, Kosher Kol Hayom, Kol Halayla, Kol Halayla. The Mishnah gives a long list of the things that kosher all day, and a long list of things that are kosher all night. And then, after the Mishnah finishes the long list, the Gemara goes through item by item and says, how do we know? So the Gemara says, for example, Ma Mishpat Bayom, Avkam Bayom, Larifa Sagola. The Egla Arifa was only done by day. The Amri Devei Rav Yanai, Kapora Ksivbo, Kekochim, because it says the word Kapora, and just by Kochim, just like by Kochim, the Pasuk says Bayom Tzavoy, says Metzora, has to be by day. So also, the Egla Arufa has to be by day. Now let's come to the next one. Torah's Metzora. When you purify a mitzora, so the Gemara says, how do we know that? The Ksiv, it says in the pasuk, Zois tia Torah's mitzora, b'yoim taharasai, b'yoim.
So Rashi should have called the word the mitzora.
Just like the Gemara, b'yoim, right?
But Rashi should call this word the mitzora b'yom taharasai,
Right.
and then explain what he's saying. Not the first 2 words.
Right, not the first 2 words. Even more, the Rebbe goes even further, saying, why did the Gemara even bring the first few words of the pasuk? So look at the next 2 lines. The Gemara says, Lashko Soita. How do we know the Soita is only by day? Asya Toira. We learn Gzeira Shava from the word Toira. Ksivach, it says, by the Soita of Asla Kohen es kolat Toira Zois, that the Kohen will do the whole Toira. Ksivach, it says in the other pasuk, Apia Toira Shiruch Vala Mishpat. Just like Mishpat is Bayam, is also Bayam. So there is a concept that there is opinion that miltzad aseh b'gzeir shava torach v'kosel lakros. Sometimes that the Gemara gives you multiple things to learn the same din. From Pshuta Shemikra, it doesn't really make sense. Why would the Eibishter tell me the same thing twice? But the Gemara, there is opinion that miltzad aseh b'kal v'chomer b'gzeir shava torach v'kosel lakros. That the Torah teaches me the same thing twice. That I can learn it from Gzeira Shava, and I can also learn it from a different thing. The Eibushat, wanted to underscore it.
Twice.
So the Torah tells it to me the same thing twice. So over here, in the Gemara quotes, Zoistia, Torah Samatzara, the word Torah teaches me it has to be by day. And the Gemara also quotes in the Pasuk, B'yoim Ta'arasai, B'yoim means only by day. Okay. Bottom line is that if the Meforshim were right, and they are right in the Gemara, that how do we know that the mitzora has to be purified by day? Because the pasuk says b'yoim, b'day. B'yoim means only by day, not by night. So if that's the case, why? So Rashi is quoting the wrong words. The words that are not problematic, he quotes. The problematic word he doesn't quote. And then he says like this interesting loshon, melamed. This comes to teach us. Like what's this? What's Rashi saying? So the Rebbe says Azay, the pshat is very simple. B'yoim, what does b'yoim mean? In the Gemara we see holds that b'yoim means day, not night. But in Pshuta Shel Mikra, there is that not necessarily true. Who says that b'yoim means by day and not by night? 3 simple examples. It says Vayerev Vahivoiker Yoim Echad. Does that Yoim mean day and not night? Couldn't mean. It said Vayerev Vahivoiker Yoim Echad. There was evening and there was morning. So that Yoim couldn't mean day, not night. Then the Torah says Sheishes Yomim Vayoim Hashvi Tishbois. The seventh day you should rest. So when do I start resting? When I wake up Shabbos morning?
Or from the evening. Before.
The evening, right? But what it says Sheishas Yomim or Bayom HaShvi. Bayom. No, we don't say, oh, Bayom. Yom HaShabbos means that Shabbos starts in the morning. Chas v'shalom. We start the night before.
Every Jewish holiday start evening before.
Everyone understands. Bar Be'lav D'chad Yom. A 5-year-old understands that. Right?
So the word Yom has a stereo in A Bay. The word Yom meaning the
Right.
day. And the
So in
word
Pshuta
Yom
Shel
meaning day and
Mikra,
night.
in
Doesn't make
Pshuta
a
Shel Mikra, Yom always means a 24-hour segment.
Right.
And the Gemara is not that way. The Gemara is fakert. That Yom means day. If the Torah, it's clear that it means 24, it means 24. But in Pshuta Shel Mikra, it's the other way around. Yom means 24 hours. Or in the third example, you have, it says, it was the day that I killed every bechor. When did the Eibishter kill the bechor? At midnight. So what is the Eibishter saying? It's not a kashem pshut shemikra. What kind of question is that? In the 24-hour, in the day, in that special day, the day that we celebrated Pesach. We're not talking about if it was the hour of the day and the hour of the night. So we see from here, from these examples, and there's more examples, that in Pshuta Shemikra, Yom doesn't mean day, doesn't mean, and if you say Yom v'layla, so Yom means day, Layla means night. But if you just say Yom, Yom means a day, 24-hour period. We're not talking about when it starts, when it finishes. Yom doesn't mean Yom v'layla. So therefore, Rashi was not, this word Yom doesn't mean anything. Because the Torah says B'yom, that the Torah says Zois Tia Torah said B'yom Torah. What does that teach me? Day and not night? No, it doesn't teach me anything. It doesn't teach me a thing. That's not bothering Rashi. What is bothering Rashi is that the previous parsha talks all about the Metzora. Now you have to realize the previous parsha. The previous parsha is not last week's parsha. The Torah was not written for, it's our minig that we read the Torah and we finish it every year. It was that Rambam records in different minig that they would read the Torah in 3 years, right? So that's the way our minig is. That's the way we split up the Torah to read it and finish it every year. Simchas Torah, we finish the Torah. But if you read, if you're learning the Chumash, not reading it in the shul, you're just learning it. Rashi's the teacher and the students are sitting there. So we went through a whole parsha. We're talking about a mitzora. Okay, now we're with the Vayadaber Hashem al Moshe Leimer. That now we're gonna purify the mitzora. What should we do? So it starts with a whole introduction. Zois tia Torah sa mitzora. This will be the Torah. We know we're talking about a mitzora. We know we're talking about a mitzora. Till now, we were talking. The whole thing was all about a mitzora. Why is the Torah emphasized? And not only that, these 3 words, zois tia toidos, is all 3 of them words are like very strong. Like Rashi said, for example, it said hachodesh hazeh lochem. So Rashi says, what's this extra word? Hazeh. So Rashi says hereo levona. The Eibishter pointed to the moon. He says, you see. Exactly like this. That's when you're going to be sanctify the new moon. Kazerei v'kadesh. This, the Eibishter said. Pointed with the finger. He said this, exactly this. Or other places, Zois ois habris. The Eibishter took him out and he said, look, you see that? You see that rainbow? That's what I'm talking about. That's going to be the bris. So Zois, Rashi always says it's like an emphasis. And Tia is also, Rashi is Baviosa Tehei. Torah, even the word Torah means it means.
It could have said Mishpat Metzora.
Or it said nothing. It should say B'yom. It should say B'yom Taharas Metzora v'hu v'alakoyin. V'daber Hashem al Moshe Leimer. B'yom Taharas Metzora v'hu v'alakoyin.
So these 3 words are extra.
Right. So that's what's bothering Rashi, and that's what he quotes. And that's why he quotes only these 3 words. Zois tia Torahs are bothering him. It's a Yetura de Kro. Why does the Torah have to say this?
Anyway.
So that's why Rashi says V'gomer, because usually Yom could mean 24-hour segment. But over here the Torah says Zois, only this. Only Yom. Here Yom means only day. It's not really from the word Yom. Yom could mean 24 hours. But because the Torah says 3 extra words, Zois tia Torahs, the goymer. So you should know that the end of the pasuk, when it says b'yoyim, it means day and not night. That's what teaches Rashi. Malamed.
How would I learn that? From the
Because zois means only this. Zois means this and not something else. It's like a mute. When I tell you, if I point with my finger and I say this, why am I pointing and saying this? I'm trying to say this and not that. So the Torah says, zois tia Torah samatzorah, only this. What's the next word? B'yoyim. So the Torah is saying only by day and not by night. Because the Eibush is pointing with his finger and he's saying this, so you know this and not something else. What's the something else that gets knocked out? Because the Torah says Yoim, so say, oh, so it means the Lila gets knocked out. That's why Rashi doesn't quote the word Bayoim. It's not the main problem here is not the word Bayoim.
But by Bris Mila it says Bayom Hashmini Nimal Psaraton Milon over there. Bayom and Lo Balayla.
It's in the Gemara. That's in the Gemara. That's Limud Take. In Limud HaGemara, it's a different Mahalach. In the Gemara, we learn it this way. And Rashi doesn't say Bayom Hashmini. No, Rashi never learns it. We spoke about it last week, Tuesday night in the Shir. From the Gemara, Rashi doesn't bring that Limud Take. Look in the parshyos here, Bayom Hashmini. Well, Rashi doesn't say anything. Doesn't bother him. Bayom Hashmini. It means 24 hours.
But it's not. We know. The Gemara.
Api halacha, it's not. But with Pshuta Shemikra, it doesn't always have to be consistent with halacha. Well, we follow halacha, but when you learn pshat, you learn pshat.
But some people make a brit at night?
According to pshat, there's no one that tells me otherwise.
No, but some people do brit?
No way, chas v'shalom.
What does it say in Abraham when he does his bris? Does it bring any special words?
Yeah, the Gemara learns over there also, it says biyoim. Over there also, the Gemara says biyoim.
No, but this is be'etzim.
Be'etzim hayoim hazeh, I'm sorry. Be'etzim hayoim. So the Gemara learns from there. Also, then the Tosha says, why do we need to learn it from two places? And there's a whole why we need two psukim for it. We need two psukim for it for whatever reason. But that's all in halacha. But in pshat, yom doesn't have to mean yom v'loy laila, like we said. That Rashi is bothered by something else entirely. This answers a big question that many of the Mefarshim ask. That many of the Mefarshim ask a simple question. It's not only in Rashi, it's also in the Gemara really, but they say, I don't understand. The Torah says that all the karbonas have to be b'yom tzavoisei, in the day, and the Gemara says b'loim v'loy b'layla. The korban you can only bring by day, you can never bring a korban by night.
Korban Pesach.
We bring it by day. Eat it by night. Eat it by night.
Eat it only, but you must
But you must bring it. There's no korban that's a hekta chalovim ve'vonim is balayla.
But not the korban.
But not the korban itself. We learn it from the pasuk by yom tzavoisei, only by yom. Korbanos only by day. So Mefarshim ask Rashi, I don't understand. They say Mefarshim. So why do I need a pasuk to tell me b'yom taharosei? Since there is karbonos involved here in the Torah of the Metzora, as we're going to say later, there's karbonos involved. So what do I need? I know if the Torah, the coin will become Torah, it's with karbonos, and the karbonos can only be b'yom. So what does the Torah have to tell it to me again? That's their question. So the Rebbe says their question is misguided. Rashi is no problem to begin with. Rashi never said that b'yom means b'yom v'loy b'layla. If you ask Rashi in Pshat, you could bring korbanos in the middle of the night too. They won't let you into the Beis HaMikdash because they follow halacha. But when we read the Pshat, and it says b'yom tzavoisei, b'yom could mean b'day, b'yom could mean at night, a 24-hour segment. The Gemara...
Wait, but is that why Arabit is Rashut?
Right, Arab is Rishus because the korbanos can only be brought by day, and by night is not really a korban. It's only hekta chalavim ve'vonim. It's only the fat that they burn overnight, but there's no korbanos really by night. The Rebbe says now we can look again at the Gemara and look at Rashi, and you'll understand something. Rashi says, and look at the third line from the top in Rashi. The Torah's Metzora. So Rashi says that the bitziporim with the birds, the eitz erez and the tree, the ezev and the string, the shnit toilas and the red rope. So what is Rashi saying? What's if a person doesn't know what Taras Metzora is, he should Rashi tell him in the Mishnah what Taras Metzora is. And why is Rashi saying Dafka these things? What's Rashi trying to tell me here? What's Rashi trying to? What's missing? Rashi trying to tell me. So it's a Pashat. What's Rashi is bothered is that why do we need a special limud b'yom v'lo b'layla since karbonos cannot be brought by night? Therefore, Rashi is saying, no, we're not talking about the karbona part of the ceremony. We're talking about the different part of the ceremony, which is not a korban. The bird is not a korban. The bird they would kill, and they would take the water and mix it with the blood, and then they would take the other bird, and they'd make a koyrech, like we said before, and they would, with the eitz eres, the shnitalaz, and the ezev, and they put in the spritzer. That is not korbanos. Those are not korbanos. And Rashi is saying that this limud that we're learning is not for the korban part, because the korban part we know already. It says a pasuk b'yom tzavoisei. But for the other parts of the ceremony, that's what Rashi is saying.
So why Taki we can't do this? If it's not a korban, we should do
That's why the Torah says, that's Gzeres HaKosav, that Zois Tia Torah Metzora b'yom, that everything of the Torah of the Metzora has to be dafka b'yom. Why? Because that's what the Eibishter wants. The bottom line is that there is a Mordek Chidush here in Halacha, the difference the way Rashi learns it and the way the Gemara learns it. Rashi says, if you look at the words of Rashi, Malamach ein metayrin moise balayla. Rashi says you're not allowed to do the tahara at night. He doesn't say you have to do it by day. The Mishnah says these are the things you have to do by day. And the Torah's Kohanim says it more, it says Kol hayom kosher. L'taras metzora malama tarasa bayom. That the Mishnah and the Gemara and the Torah's Kohanim say that it has to be b'yom, has to be by day. Rashi says it's not allowed to be by night. Why? So there's a huge difference. There's a huge difference. No, there's a difference. The question is, between day and night, there's a time called Bein Hashmoshes. And there's a question that is being asked by many of the, like the Rogatchover, Chaim Brisker, others that ask, what is Bein Hashmoshes? They say there's three ways of looking at it. One is Bein Hashmoshes is the time that it's a suffix day, it's suffix night. We don't know. We know till here is Vada Yoim. After 3 Kechavim, it's Vada Laila. But this time in between, we don't know. I don't know. We don't know. Human beings don't know. Malachi Ashoras might know. I don't know. You don't know. No one knows. Abayra, no one knows. We don't know. Suffix. Second svara is that it's a mixture of Yom V'Laila. It's where Yom V'Laila come together. And the third understanding is, no, it's
not day, not night.
It's not day, it's not night. It's ein yom ve'ein laila. Zman she'ein yom ve'ein laila. It's nothing. It's similar to the Gemara. The Gemara says, what's androgynous? Androgynous, as the Mishnah says in Bikurim, he has a chelik of a zocher, he has a chelik of an akeva. So in certain halachas he's like a zocher, in a certain halachas he's like an akeva, in certain halachas he's not a zocher and not an akeva, and in certain halachas he's like a zocher and a akeva put together. Same thing, an animal that called a koi.
Lucky guy.
Yeah, all samished. So yeah, the Mishnah, there's ways that it's like a chaya, there's ways like a behemoth. There's ways like it's a chaya and a behemoth, and the ways it's not like a chaya, not like a behemoth. So same thing about Bein Hashmoshes. So what's Bein Hashmoshes? So if you say, for example, that it's a mixture of both, or it's Seila Mezog and it's a thing of its own. So if you ask Rashi, say the Kohen was very busy. There's a lot of Metzorim, and he's working. Shebein Hashmoshes. He's just finishing the last, he's spritzing on the last guy. It's already 3 minutes into Bein Hashmoshes, right? So if you ask Rashi, it's not night yet. We say it has to be not night. It's Tonishaim Banach. Melamach Emetaylan is a Balayla. Bein Hashmoshes, not if it's Suffolk. If you say that it's a Beria B'fnei Atzma, it's something unique. It's not Yom, it's not Laila. Okay? I didn't do it by night. By night I didn't do it. But if you ask the Gemara and the Torah's Kohanim, they say it has to be done by day. So you say to the Kohen, did you do it by day? He said, no. It's already 3 minutes after day. Possible. But if you ask Rashi, he did it 3 minutes into Bein Hashmoshes. Rashi, did he do it by night? So no, he didn't do it at night. He did Bein Hashmoshes. What's Bein Hashmoshes? It's a pupil. It's not Yom, it's not Laila, or it's both. But it's not. But is it night? No, it's not. Oh,
No,
it's
there's no
kosher.
final psak on this.
No,
is there?
there's no.
Betzah shenolda ben hashmashot.
What is exactly?
That's a
right. So what's the difference in logic between Rashi and the Gemara? Again, the Gemara holds that whenever you say Yom, except in a few exceptions where you have no choice, when it says Yom, it means day and not night. So therefore, when the Torah says Zois Tia Torah Samatzora B'Yom Torah, so it has to be in the day of the Tahara. According to the Gemara, it means day and not night. So if you were busy doing and you went 3 minutes out of the day into Bein Hashmoshes, that's it. Torah says B'Yom. B'Yom means b'day. Day and not anything but day. You have to do it mamish by day. But Rashi, as we said to him, B'Yom doesn't mean day, not night, night, not day. B'Yom means a 24-hour segment. Rashi learned it from something else, because the Torah says Zois, Tia, Toiras, extra words. So Zois means dafke, not by night. Melamed, Rashi saying, Melamed she'em b'tayim neza b'layla. The Torah is teaching us not by night. Why? Because there's a concept, whenever you make a mute, you always minimize a mute. For example, when we say, what's plural? In Chazal, when we say plural, it means 2. Maybe it means 3. Maybe 4.
Minimum 2.
Minimum 2. We always go with the minimum. The Jew always go with the minimum. The Jew always, the story with the Jew and Napoleon. He was an advisor. Napoleon is already losing, so he asks his few advisors, what do you want? This guy wants gold, silver. He'd say, I want a schmaltzering. He said, right now, if you give me a schmaltzering, I know I can get a schmaltzering. That's what I want. It's like a quirky old Yiddish joke. It's like that pessimistic Yid. Now you're worth a schmaltzering. Torah says a multitude. How much? The miutri b'shnayim. If Torah says few means 2. Torah says zois, only this, not something else. So the night is not. Malamed she'em etarno is balayla. Nish the nacht. You can't do it by night. But twilight, Bein Hashmoshes, Zman that Eino Yom V'Leino Laila, that's kosher. Because it's, again, the Gemara is learning it from a definite. And Tzadachiyuv. Torah is saying that according to the Gemara, Yom means day and not night. So you have to do it by day. As if you went 3 minutes out of the day, it's over. It's possible. But Rashi is not learning it from the word B'Yom. Rashi only quotes the word Zois Tia Toiras. The Rashi, it's a diuk. Yom could mean 24 hours. But the Torah says Zois, only this. To be memayet. That night is out.
It started when this man was kosher for doing it and was nimshach. So the fact that it started when it was okay and it was nimshach, that's a whole other issue. Would it make any difference?
No.
It's not. You're not going to stop in the middle in the mitten the linen. You're going to continue.
If it was if it's a thing,
you start whenever. You start while it's still day. Okay, the kol nidra, you start while it's still day, and it's nimshach.
right. There are very few things which you could start, because those are things usually that are not ma'akiv. The kol nidre needing to be by day is not likuva. For whatever reason, because we want, there are reasons that are not ma'akiv. Usually things that are ma'akiv, day or night, starting is not going to help.
But over here,
Only by Gzeira de Rabbonon. So, for example, the Rabbonon said that whenever there's a mitzvah that you have to do at a certain time, so you're not allowed to, you're not allowed to start a Suda. Or you're chayiv to say Krishma Shel Arvis, you're not allowed to start a Suda. When a Torah, you're allowed to. The Rabbonon said you're not allowed to. So if you already started, never mind, you could continue. It depends when you started, it depends for Krishma, but usually by the Raisa, if the Torah tells you have to do A, B, C, D, you need a tzipur, a chaya, this, so all these things are ma'akiv.
unless you say it's not the hascholam, but it's the gemira, which is the ikar.
But the Torah usually, it's not taschol nakameh, it's every single detail of it, usually. Unless you tell me otherwise. I hear your svara, it's a good svara. I'm saying usually by things that min
Even
Torah.
the Karbanis, they didn't always finish them exactly on time, I'm sure.
They finished
Or
them
did they?
exactly. Oh, who did they finish them on time? Who did they finish them
Has
on
to work
time?
with
They would stop a few hours early to make sure they finished on time. That's how much on time they
Yeah.
were. They were very on time.
Rabbi, why they give korbanot? For people to learn from mistake. This is why they have to do it in the daytime. People see. Nighttime, nobody see. You cannot learn.
People are sleeping.
That's
Maybe
a
that's
sword,
the reason.
that's not Teres. That's a sword, but it's not the Teres. Is somebody born in Benes Mashos when you make a bris? Today. Somebody
Next
had a
day,
baby
next
boy.
day, the next day.
So the 8 days will be not the days not count.
Right.
It's going to be on the 9 days. Well, it's
Right.
not 9, it's 8 because it's
Well, it
It's not the
depends.
day yet.
But
How's it work
if you
with-
say it's a suffix, the only problem is that maybe Banish Mashal is really a suffix.
right. So
So outside that it's a suffix. So yesterday you might have been in the when he was born. It was already the next day. When you're going to give it a bris, it's the earlier day. So,
that
therefore you
count
have to
from
be
the-
careful.
from the next
You have
day.
to do the next day. Yeah.
How does it work with Kriya Shema if you started during the time when the time then the time
That's exactly what
Yeah.
the Baruch was saying. I hear it's a good question. I don't think so. I think anything which is deraisa. In other words, the part of Krishma that you have to say deraisa, if you didn't finish it in time, you didn't do your obligation.
even though you started?
It's not
from
like you could
before?
say you did half your obligation. That would be strange to me. Anyway, back to the sicha. I mean, you could say that the question will be if he did a part or the whole thing after the whole. Say he did the whole thing by Nishmashis, and that's it. Tonight is the Hilula and the Yortzeit of the Rebbe Rashab. So that one of the stories that the Rebbe tells about the Rebbe Rashab is that he was a little boy. He was 4 years old. The tailor came to the house for Pesach to, new suit, little boy. Or whatever they wore. I'm not sure they wore suits. So he delivered the suit, and the boy, he was a little boy, he put his hand into the tailor's pocket, and he pulled out a little piece of material. Apparently he didn't mean to whatever, he's a little kid, 4-year-old kid. A child is a child. But the tailor got embarrassed. They gave him a shtickle material like this, and he made a suit from this part, and the other part he's supposed to, it's like today, another piece goes in the garbage. Please take my garbage. Those days, every shmata was an extra, so if you have an extra piece of material, then it's great. Then when you get the whole, you can take that, you can make a lattice in the haze, and you can make patches. People would save the extra pieces of material. The tailor usually was paid for the job, and he would return the extra material. But this guy kept the extra material in his pocket. So he said, "Oh, I'm sorry." The tailor said, "I'm very sorry. I forgot. I was going to give you the..." When the tailor left, so the Rebbetzin, the mother, Rebbetzin Rivka, the mother of the Rebbe Rashab, said, "Look what you did. You embarrassed him." He started to cry. He realized what he did. He started to cry. His father came home, and the first thing he came to his father, he said he wants to have yechidus with his father. Okay.
How old
4
he
years
was?
old?
4 years old, yeah. He said he wants to do tshuva. So his father said, "Boy, a 4-year-old kid wants to do tshuva. What do you want to do tshuva?" So he says he wants to do tshuva for albonos ponim, for embarrassing someone. So the father said, "Who did you embarrass?" So he said, "It's bad enough they embarrass someone. Now I should also speak Lashon Hara."
it was Rashi or the
This was the Rebbe Rashab. So
at 4-year-old.
the Rebbe told the story in a Fabrengen. Tonight is the Yortzeit, the Hilula of the Rebbe Rashab. And he said that the story that Rebbe Rashab told, and he told it to teach Inyan and Chinuch. To Inyan and Chinuch. That a little kid, a 4-year-old, what did he do? No, that he wanted to teach the Inyan of Chinuch just like his parents taught him. That a child, even if a child is 4 years old, that it's shaykh to teach a child to have the sensitivity to feel the feeling of another yid, not to be malbim upon him, and not to speak lashon hara. That's one story that has to do with mitzora. Another story with the Metzora is that we're going into the Chodesh Nisan, and it's 150 years of the Stalkus Lul of the Tzemach Tzedek. Yud Gimel Nisan. This year will be 150 years of the Stalkus Lul of the Tzemach Tzedek. The Tzemach Tzedek, Friday he would go to the mikveh. Friday he used to sit always and write. And then the Tzemach Tzedek wrote on Asaf. This bookcase, the second bookcase came out. The entire bookcase is all Tzemach Tzedek, and that's and that's not his Shalos Chuvas yet. And he wrote Shalos Chuvas, and that's a third of what he wrote. The other 2/3 will get burnt. It's like a pelots on what he wrote. Fridays was very dedicated to writing. He would write my mortem on Friday, and then he would stop in the middle of writing. He would go to the mikveh, and then he would go back and continue writing. There was a grandson that realized that this was a good time, a Shas Koisha. Tzemach Tzedek didn't give everything he wrote. He kept it by himself. But he wanted to get the inside stuff. Now that it's all published, it's not inside stuff. No one goes, it sits in the book, and no one's running for it. But when it's inside stuff, everyone wants the secret, the inside stuff. So he would go, Friday when his Zayda went to the mikveh, he would sneak in, and he would read everything and rewrite things. Write it on his own notebook. He'd be very careful to put back every paper, every pen, everything b'diuk where the Tzemach Tzedek put it. So problem is, after time he got a little too comfortable and he got slightly sloppy. So he wasn't putting back every little piece of paper exactly in its place. So the Tzemach Tzedek noticed that someone's coming. There's an oirach there every Friday. So Friday before he left to the mikveh, he said to the Rebbetzin, please keep an eye. If any of the Einiklach come in, just let me know who's coming. So the Rebbetzin was sitting in the side, saying Tehillim, and sure enough, one of the Einiklach walked in. But she didn't wait long enough. She already got up. So the Einikl saw that the Rebbetzin was there. So he was like, what are you doing here? So he said, so he has to think very quickly. So he said, a terrible thing happened. I don't know. I don't know what to do. My wife is very upset. She went to the marketplace today, and there was a psagevalda. It was a good fish. It was a fish she wanted to buy for gefilte fish, and she put her hands in the fish, and the guy, the fisherman, just grabbed it straight out of her hand. He has some rich customers, and my wife is so insulted. She's upset. I don't know what to do. So she came to talk to the Rebbetzin about it. Cook up a story, a gefilte fish story, a fishy story.
The fish in Mansi that talk.
Exactly, a fishy story. But as he's talking to says, from the fire to the frying pan, Tzemach Tzedek comes in. So Tzemach Tzedek smiles. He realizes he caught the fat fish. So. Tzemach Tzedek says no. So Rebbetzin says he was ba'avled by a fisherman. So he says, tell the Zayda the story. So Tzemach Tzedek said, Loshen Hora. I don't want to hear Loshen Hora. So he told over the word from the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov said that the Nefroim No'odam Edaitov Shalom Edaitoi. That what does it mean? That they ask a person when he comes after 120. They ask a person to. They let the person talk. The person says all kinds of stories of things that he saw in this world and his opinions. And then after he speaks and speaks for a very long time, they tell him, listen, Boychik, all these stories that you told and all the judgment that you pass on other people, but let me show you. They say they make a cheshbon of how all this judgment that he has on other people that apply to him. So they say, you see, you pass on your own din for yourself. So, Zok the Rebbe, that what's the pshat in Chassidus? We learned in Rashi now, what's the pshat of the word Zois, Tia, Toidas, these extra 3 words. That these extra 3 words, Zois, Tia, Toidas, tells me a certain din. But at Chassidus, the Alter Rebbe says like this. What Tzaras counts is Moitzi Shemra. What does it mean, Moitzi Shemra? Okay, simple pshat is that he says things, bad stuff about another Jew. He gives him a bad name, Moitzi Shemra. He gives out a bad name for a friend. But Chassidus, it's true, but what does it really mean? is there's Shem Ra, there's the Shemos, the Oidos and the Kalim, the Shemos of Klipa, of the unholy Shemos, the Shemos of Kedusha, and the Shemos of... when a person speaks negative things about another Jew, he's Moitzi Shem Ra, the bad Shemos, the Shemos of Kedusha, and the Shemos of the opposite of Kedusha, antithetical to Kedusha, Klipa or Shemos. When a Yid speaks negative things about another Yid, he's Moitzi Shem Ra, he brings into this world shed of Shemos of Kedusha, Shemos of Klipa. What's the tikkun? Zois tia toiras ha-metzora b'yom ha-torasei. In order to be purified, you have to bring Shemos of Kedusha into the world. How do you bring Shemos of Kedusha into the world? The whole world, kol ha-Torah kula shmoitzav shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Every word of Torah is the Eibishter's name. So now the person defiled the world. He brought shmutz to the world. He polluted the world because he was moitzi shem ra. He spoke bad about another Jew. So he brought the Shemos of Klipa into the world. So how do you purify the world? Zoistia toidas ha-metzora. That when you say Torah, that's a Shem Tov. Instead of being Moitzi Shem Ra, you're Moitzi Shem Tov, you're bringing Shmoitza Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu into the world. The Torah says, however, first it has to be V'hu vel HaKohen. The Kohen is a person of Chesed. The Kohen comes from Chochma, which is Bittul. So the Kohen teaches the Yid how to be Bittul to the Eibishter. So therefore, it will make it easier for the Yid to do the Avodah. But the avodah has to be done by the Metzora himself, because his job was he brought out a Shem Ra, Shemos a Klipa, so he has to do tshuva. Instead of a Shem Ra, he has to bring into the world a Shem Tov. He has to make Yishapcha. He has to turn the Shem Ra into a Shem Tov. So this, especially as a sichos to avodas Hashem of Beis Nissen, the Torah of the Rebbe Rashab gives us the koyach to be mahapech, the Shem Sevra to Shem Tov.